Hey guys, I am Philip Baldowski. I am a 15-time national champion, 5-time North American champion, and 3-time world champion. I have been coaching adaptive military archery for about 16 years now. I am your recurve coach for Team Ussocom.
Hey guys, I'm Rick Devericks. I'll be your compound archery coach for Ussocom. I've been shooting off and on since I was about 14. I have several state champions, been NFA champion, ASA, IBO. I recently took a medal in Warrior Games in 17. Won the team archery event also. I served 20 years in the military. I recently retired, and now I'm loving being able to be a coach and give back to you guys as a Ussocom archery coach. The next video we're going to go over, we're going to talk about recurve components and compound components, so you guys understand what we're talking about when we're talking to you guys about your bow and archery equipment.
So stay tuned and enjoy. Today we're going to go over the recurve bow. So first thing we're going to do is start off here. This is your top limb. This is your bottom limb. In the middle here you have your riser. That's the part that you're going to hold. Coming up from the bottom you have your V-bars and your front stabilizer. That's to balance the bow out. Coming up from there you have your grip. That's where you're going to hold the bow at. Come up a little bit farther, you have your rest, your plunger button, and your clicker button. Come up from there, you have your sight bar, you have your sight with your elevation adjustment knobs and your windage adjustment knobs. Coming out here, you have your aperture. That's where you can look through at your target for aiming. Coming down here, you have your string. You have your center serving on your string, your 2 knocking points, which is where your arrow is going to knock in between and rest on your rest. You have your bow stand. You have your quiver. You have your arrow. You have your nock, your fletchings, your arrow shafts, and your point. Then we go to a finger sling. So when you're shooting your bow, you're actually not going to be holding your bow. This is actually going to catch it. Then we're going to go to your finger tabs. There's a million different types of finger tabs. You have to find one that fits you and is the most consistent for you. It's basically just a piece of leather so that your fingers don't get burned on the string.
Today we're going to go over parts of your bow, so you guys, when we talk about it, you guys understand what we're talking about. We're going to start up here on the top of our bow. This is your wheel or your cam. Okay, that's what controls your strings and cables. This white portion here, that's your limb. That's what you adjust your poundage for. That tells you how many pounds you're pulling back. You can take it in or out. On the back side here, we have cables. You have 2 cables running on the inside of your bow. On the outside, you have your string. Next thing we're talking about is the riser. That's your main center portion of your bow. That's where everything pretty much attaches to. You come down here, you have your sight bar adjustment knob. Moving forward, you actually have an actual sight. This is your horizontal adjustment, and your vertical adjustment is here on the side. Attached to that, you either have your scope housing or your aperture, depending on what you're shooting. As you come back here in your string, the first thing you have is your peep sight. Your peep sight is what you're going to look through to look at your scope housing and your aperture to look at the target. Continuing down here, you have a cable guard. Keeps your cables out of your way of your arrow. After that, this black portion here, that is your rest. That's what your arrow is going to sit on to be able to shoot it out of your bow. And back here, we have your D-loop. That's important. That's where your knot goes in between those 2 knots on your D-loop to be able to shoot it. Continuing down here, we have our grip. You have your bow sling, which keeps the bow in your hand. Here you have your forward stabilizer and your rear stabilizer. That's what balances your bow while you're shooting. And then, of course, you have your bottom limb here. You have your bow stand, and we're going to go into the arrow. This is your nock. Okay? This is the important part that snaps in on your string between your D-loop. Forward of that, we have your vanes or your feathers, depending on what you're shooting. Then we have your arrow shaft and your tip or your point. The next thing we're going to go over is releases. Okay? There's a million different releases out there for you to try, so you have to grab a bunch of different ones and figure out which works best for you. Remember, the biggest thing about archery, everything you do has to be repeatable. If you can't repeat it, you're not going to be able to incorporate it in your shot process. Okay? You have a quiver that you put on your side, and that maintains your arrows. You have your target butt with your targets.
Alright guys, thank y'all for watching our videos on compound and recurve equipment.
Make sure you guys catch our next video on shooting techniques and positions.
Thanks for watching.